Okay, this is Ken Smith. I'm one of the co-founders of Elite Resource Team, and today we're with Stephen Burgess. Stephen has some information to share a little bit about his experience and background, etc. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, Stephen. Good to see you today.
Good to see you as well.
Good, good. So tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, my background I guess it is as an adult, I started working in law enforcement. And after spending a couple of decades in law enforcement, I actually chose the path to become a financial advisor. I've always wanted to be a stockbroker, so to speak, and since 8th or ninth grade, but kind of inherited the route through law enforcement. And after 20 years or so, I decided that I should go after what it is I always wanted to do. So I became a stockbroker with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter and went through their training and worked with them from the early 2000s all the way through to 2008. In April 2008, just facing the ongoing challenges with what I thought were some ethics issues and what I thought was just the go out there and capture the assets and we'll do everything else process, which wasn't what I really wanted. I thought I would go on my own and become a financial advisor specializing in retirement income planning. So in April of 2008, that's when I started my firm. I've worked in my firm, I guess now for a little more than 10 years. And I'm just totally excited about what that's done for my life and how I feel about me and the different things that I'm doing. And there you go. That's where we are.
Great. Sounds very encouraging. So tell me a little bit about how since you decided to get into the financial services industry, how you evolved over time.
Well, when I first got into the financial services industry, I was told by my manager, Dean Witter, that I need to be out cold walking, meeting business owners. I needed to cold call, and so we had cold calling in the morning and cold calling in the evening. You get there at 6 o'clock in the morning before the market opens, and you're there till 9 o'clock at night cold calling, sometimes as a team and sometimes just by yourself. And that was to go out and meet people and use the brand awareness that Morgan Stanley Dean Witter had and open new accounts and gather assets. There wasn't much of the money management that I was doing personally at that time because that was kind of discouraged against. It was about going out and capturing the assets using the firm's mutual funds and the firm's proprietary products and the firm's managers for managed money. And when I thought of myself as a stockbroker, that's not how I saw myself. I saw myself going out and actually using my knowledge and my experience and training and hard work and applying that to specific portfolios. And I was just discouraged when ultimately I never got to that point within Dean Witter. And 2008, as the market crisis was looming, I found the opportunity to help people, which is what I've always wanted to do my whole adult life. I found that I could help people by protecting their assets and making sure that they knew exactly how much they had going forward for the rest of their life, a minimum anyway. They could have more, but they couldn't have less. And that's what retirement income planning did for me. Now, along the way, some of the cases that I attempted to acquire were kind of roadblocked by CPAs. You get a client that says, hey, I need to let my CPA think about this. Hey, I need to run this by my CPA and let him know. Hey, can you call my CPA and see what he thinks before I do this? And I found that the people that had the key to the castle were the CPAs. And so I went through several different programs to work with CPAs. And they were all based upon partnering with the CPA in the sense that you send him referrals, and maybe he'll send you a referral, or maybe you're just hoping for him to send a referral. And there was no training, no understanding of what the CPA actually needed or does. And so after going through two or three of those, actually 3 or 4 of those programs, I came across ERT and the premise that actually you gave me about the program opened my eyes. And I said, this ought to be great. If it does what it says it does, this should work for exactly what I need. Well, here we are 4 years later, and it did a heck of a lot more than what you said it was going to do back in October of 2014.
Great, great. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about what you've learned after you've been in the team-based model for an extended period of time now, how that's worked out for you, Stephen.
Well, the first thing I learned is that I didn't know anything. And so I figured that out pretty quickly, knowing that there's all these different tax mitigation and tax reduction strategies out there I knew nothing about and heard nothing about. And believe it or not, some of them even work for me personally. So I'm really, really happy about that. The second thing I learned is that I put CPAs on a very high pedestal before being involved in this program. Now I know they're people just like me, and that they have the same challenges that I have in their life, in my life, and maybe even more, and with the proper tools that I can absolutely help them as well. Again, I like to help people, so now I found that I can help them. I can help them help their clients, or help their clients directly, and I also help myself and my family, and so I'm really happy about that. Other things that I learned were patience. It doesn't happen all at once. Just like everything else, it takes some work and a plan. And essentially, this program had everything that the other programs that I have looked at did not have. It had the understanding of those issues with the CPAs, knowing what it is they do, knowing how they're challenged in their environment and how the environment is changing, and where I fit in to what the change is going to be.
So how do you feel like you've evolved with the team-based model over time? How have you, what have you learned, and how have you changed and kind of, been changing over time?
Well, the first thing I learned is that I was doing it all wrong. I was doing it just like everybody else. There is a better way, and I firmly believe that this is the better way. So the number one thing that I was doing before that I'm no longer doing is I was spending $15,000 to $20,000 on marketing per month to generate somewhere in the ballpark of $5 million to $7 million of premium with annuities, and maybe $100,000 of life insurance. And that I was spending that money and feeding the world, and the return on it could be a whole lot better without the expense. And so working with a CPA, my marketing is very low. I'm not even sure that I've done any real marketing other than business cards and phone numbers and websites and things like that, but nothing really too expensive. The second thing that I learned is, as part of a team and as part of a community like what ERT has to offer, that I can constantly learn and get new ideas about business. There are just so many things out there. I don't look at myself as just a financial advisor any longer. I look at myself as a business consultant, because I can go to a business owner and not only tell him how to reduce or mitigate his taxes, I can tell him how to run his business more efficiently and more effectively, and also look at the plans that he has in place for business succession or exit planning or executive bonuses, or just his own specific retirement, how he gets to cash out along the way or at the end. I can advise in many different ways, or provide the specialists to help in accomplishing those goals. So those are things that I never even had in mind worth doing, or that I could do before I met this model.
Great, great. So let me ask you this. Think about some of the tips that you might offer, maybe people who aren't in the model but they would like to work with CPAs. What are some of the points that you've picked up over the years in becoming more effective in working with them, and how that could help other individuals that are thinking about the same?
Well, the first thing is the mindset as a whole. The mindset is that you've got to go out there and you've got to meet them, and they do not have a halo on their head when the lights go out. They're great people, but they're people just like me. They get up and they put their pants on one leg at a time. They don't know anything more. They just know something different. And they're not God. They have problems and challenges that they're struggling to meet. And guess what? Through ERT, I've learned how to meet the majority of those challenges when it comes to their professional challenges. I have an understanding now of where they are. I understand what tools I have to get them from where they are to where they might want to be. And so the first thing is just that mindset that they are equals. I'm very good at what I do. They're very good at what they do, but I can talk to them about what it is they do as well as serve their clients better than most CPAs are currently serving their clients.
Okay. So how would you accelerate the learning curve knowing what you know now? Is there anything that you would have done differently?
Well, the beauty of the ERT model is that it has evolved based upon the community of advisors. Back in October of 2014, it was one thing. It's grown to be something a lot bigger and better with more tools and resources for us. So the one thing that I would say to accelerate someone's success in this model is to pay attention to the training. Do all of the training. Don't skip the training. And when it comes to having the meetings that you need to have with the CPAs, follow the scripts that are provided. It's really important to follow those scripts because they've been well designed to avoid certain pitfalls and to ensure certain successes. And, I'm one of those people that looks at something and tries to look at how I can do it better. Don't do that. That would be a pitfall for a new advisor at this particular point, because these are tried and tested and true practices that have been developed, and the reasons for what is the things that are in the script are there, and reasons that other things are not. And there's no real success with shortcuts. These are the shortcuts that are given to you. So that would be my biggest and best advice for a new person. The program and the platform has everything in there. If you're willing to work hard, be dedicated to what you do, be knowledgeable, but be trainable and coachable, and you'll be successful in this model, just getting up and doing what you should do every morning.
Yeah, very good. Very good input. Let me ask you this, Stephen. What are some of the cases you're working on or now? What has this model done maybe for your production?
As a production, in regards to production, it's exceeded my previous production by leaps and bounds. I've worked on, just the first 6 months of this year, 7 premium finance cases. I've done a couple of cost procurement cases that are going to lead to some additional estate planning and an ideal plan or charitable LLC. I just this past week engaged the company on a cost procurement, cost remediation plan that's also going to result in an ESOP. There are just a lot of different things that are going on, and it's just from being in the right place at the right time, and that's being an ERT and working with the CPAs that I was trained to find and work with.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've had a pretty good experience overall.
I have had a very good experience overall. And believe it or not, I'm working less and being rewarded more, both financially and through other rewards.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal, isn't it? So what would you say to someone that's trying to decide whether to maybe do it on their own or maybe follow the elite resource team and the team-based model?
Well, I would say that the only way to do it correctly is to do the way that the elite resource team-based model is, because it has everything that you need, and it also has a community where you can share your ideas and bounce them off of people that are in the same position that you are, that may have been doing it longer, that have some experience and answer questions for you. So it gives you a shortcut that you wouldn't otherwise have if you did it on your own or did it another way. And I've looked at other programs out there and know other advisors that came from other programs. This program is by and large the best program out there, and not only does it have everything you need resource-wise and training-wise laid out for you so that you can work at your pace. It has Ken, it has Anton, it has Christy, it has Tim, it has Michael, and it has Ashley, and those are some special things that you just can't find every day.
Yeah, good. I appreciate that. So can you think of anything maybe that you would add to what you've said that really has been beneficial for you over time, and things that you might, if you were trying to help maybe advisors or insurance agents that are listening to these videos, or people that want to get into the industry, what advice would you give them?
It's not for everyone, and it may not be for anyone specifically, but if you're willing to have an open mind, work hard, be knowledgeable about what it is you're doing, which means do your homework, do your research, be coachable, trainable, and follow the rules. Know that there are a lot of different ways to do things the right way, but there's no way to do something right if part of it is wrong. You'll be very successful in this. If you're here to help clients, CPAs, you'll also be able to help yourself. And I just wanted to reiterate those things.
Yeah, that's great, Stephen. Well, I appreciate you taking time to sit down with us today and give us your experience and your opinion on these things. It's very valuable. And I want to thank you again for joining us today. And thank you for listening. I appreciate all of you that have come and sat and listened to this brief interview, and I hope that it is beneficial. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.